well, we'll go ahead and get started, and we'll try it this way. If it doesn't work, we'll switch back to the other way in the future. So thanks again, everybody, for showing up this evening for the recording. This is the Wednesday, March 21st, 2018 user workshop. And if you don't know, my name's Ed Carter. Tonight may be, hello Nini, may be a fairly short session. We'll see how your questions go. I just had a couple little things that I wanted to touch on. Then I thought we would plan a few trades, and then we'll end up the session with whatever questions you have and going through the answers as best I can. So for those of you who don't know, we have an issue in the account manager. We found this a couple days ago, and I guess we'll call the gist of it has to relate, well, there's a couple issues, but all of it in the account manager, it relates to the fact that you can't change the beginning balance after an account has been created at this point, and that is also screwing up the fact that you cannot add a new transaction, for example, a cash deposit or cash withdrawal at the moment to an account. We are working on that, and we will have a resolution update out to fix that here in the next couple, 3 days. That problem was caused by, I think, our most recent update that we released a few days ago. That's the problem with complex programs. Sometimes a fix for one problem will cause an unrelated problem that you don't catch in a different, in this case, a different widget. And that's what happened there. Secondly, there is an update today that I will go through, and basically we are changing the historical data source, and that is as of version 120. If you're on the Mac side, it says, I think it's version, we'll see, is it 51.120 or 51.120? On the Mac side, it would just be .51 or .50. Then I will plan a few trades. We'll see if there are any charts you want to plan out as well, and we'll answer any questions you have. So with that said, let's get rid of the charts here. Okay, yeah, it's 51.120. And I want to strongly encourage you to do the updates. So as you can see, we have a new update that was available today. It's version 51.120. And I'm going to start the download on that. If you can see here, it's already done downloading. I will close Trader Vision then. Let's just walk through the installation. Okay, so the new version is installed. So just to verify help about, I'm now running 51.120. So I have done the update. And I would strongly encourage you to do those updates as you see them. They pop up with that yellow ribbon at the top, or tan, or I'm not sure how to describe that color, yellowish tan. But I've had a couple people contact me here in the last week who had problems, and they had been solved in the past. It was just a question of they had not done the updates. And so I would strongly urge you to keep up to date with the program. You can see it only took me about a minute to do the entire process, download and install. So that account manager problem is in here that will not allow you to enter a transaction. It keeps changing the transaction type, and it will not allow you to change an opening balance. It appears that it works, but then when you come back in, it has not changed. So we are aware of that. We are working on that, and we will have an update that fixes it in the next couple days. So, what else did I want to talk about here? The historical data change. So, as of this version 120, let's just find a recent one here. There we go. This is downloading historical data from a different source, and you can see it's fairly quick. It's on a new server that we built, and it should be just as fast. We still have to do some tuning, but it should be just as fast as the previous server that we had on the Hit and Run website server. And we'll have the added benefit of hopefully getting some sort of performance boost on the Hit and Run website as well by taking that load off of it. I guess that's it. I mean, there's no, from your standpoint, it should have no effect to you. There's a different update schedule at night. This one should be faster. In other words, we'll start getting updated prices for today at about 7:10 p.m. And the last of the updates of the current day prices will be about 9:15 at night. And the difference is that our old data source was not updated any night until at least 9:30. And these are all Eastern times, and most recently it had been about 11:30. So we should have current day prices for historical values more quickly by a few hours, but that's about the only difference. And unless you were looking at these candles here, for example, or looking at a chart, you would not be able to tell that there was in fact a difference. So, with that out of the way, let's look at some charts and see if we can't plan out some trades. I pulled out some tickers to look at. I just pulled them out here in the last hour to some things that I kind of liked. Are there any tickers that you guys want to look at that we can plan out for you? I don't see anybody typing, so I will guess you have no tickers. If you come up with some, let me know. Let me just go down through a few that I like. Here's KEM, electronics, I guess, something in semis. You can see where I've drawn support and resistance. Hopefully you can see the touches that are, or near touches that are causing me to do those. Probably another one in here. Yeah, like that. I would probably also draw the fibs here. What do you know? Lines up tightly to this one here. Lines up tightly to this one there. And so we will we'll plan out a trade here. Let's just throw some lines up here. Let's say that for the moment I don't see a huge signal, but I suppose if you squint really hard, you could say that that's a kind of a, well, let's call it a bullish harami with follow through. How about that? Breaking out of this recent highs that also were potential support and resistance in the past. So if we like that, and if we use the stop down here just below these these lows in here, let's just make it about there. And let's put our entry in this area. We don't want to drop back in below that line. And our first target's up here. And a second target up in there. Let's see if we can plan out a trade with that. KEM. It's a long trade. Looks like they reported about 510 of 217, so they'll probably report about 510 this year as well. You can see that we've got 5 bullish indications, 1 bearish indication. The 1 bearish is the short-term market bias. I said 2, didn't I? Yeah. Okay, so with our entry here at 2004 and a stop down here about 1930. And a first target of, let's call it 2105. And a second target of 22.25. Says we can do 168 shares. I'm pretty sure this is a $50,000 account, so that's going to be too much, but let's try 100 shares. Let's see what that would do for us. It's a little less than 4%. Let's say that I could live with that. The problem is that if I sell 50 shares here at the first target, I'm only getting about 1.36 to 1. So this area where both the fibs and support and resistance, and again, this is a general area, it's not meant to be exact. But that general area is just giving me 1 to 1, so that probably would not work for a trade for me. And if I sold if I sold at both those targets, I'm not even close. Only making 161 bucks, not even close to my trade goal of 350. So this is not a trade for me, even though I liked the way the chart looked initially. Kathy, you want to look at TV? Wow, for a short? What are you thinking? Just tell me what you had in mind there, Kathy. Okay, for a short. Well, let's follow the same procedures. I'm going to make this full screen so that we can work off of it. Let's draw in our support and resistance. Yeah, someplace like that. Let's go to a weekly chart. Is there anything out here? Yeah, let's say we could draw one there off of these highs and these lows. Let's say we can draw another one down here, someplace in there off of these lows, and right in there. And let's put that third one in clear down here. I'll go back to the daily. If I draw my fibs, yeah, I do that correctly. What do you think about this? To me, that looks like it's very extended. it's not worth chasing for me. So I would have to see a bounce. I'm looking for it to do something like this to give me a better entry, because I think it's pretty extended at this point. We've set up here for what could be a morning star, which would give us a short-term bounce, hopefully up in here to retest this as resistance. So if I got, let's see if I can draw here, color green. So if I got a bounce tomorrow, anything like this, anywhere in here, and I saw it fail there, so then let's change to red. And I saw us fail the next day, that would be a nice entry in here. And so that would be an entry for me where I could put my stop in tight above this proven support or proven resistance. And I would be looking for a target someplace down in here. So let's just say that, let's plan that out for a short that way. When I hit escape, I'm going to lose all those things. Let's draw them again. So let's say that I was looking at a stop up in here, an entry, and I'll make it, well, let's make it red because it would be selling short. And here's where I'm going to cover. Let's see if that would work. So we've got to have, it's got to do some things for us here. It's got to come back up here to retest that and then fail. I guess I would let it, you know, if I move this all down just a touch, you know, and it failed off that 38.2% extension, that would be as okay as well. But for now, let's plan it out like this. Something like that. So we came up in here, we failed off of this level, started back down, that's where I entered short. So let's see what that would look like for a trade plan. This is short and TV. Looks like they reported 220, so we're good for until mid-May. We can see the candles fairly ugly. We are coming off that dreaded H pattern. Let's just try one target here to start with. So we're looking at a short entry about 15, let's call it 1560. And our stop is up here about 1605. And our first target is down here about 1335. Says we can do 277 shares. I think that's going to be way too much, but let's do 200. See what that says. Wow, that's 9% of the account. That's not going to work. Even 100 shares is going to be too much for this account. But let's say I could live with it. So if we're at 100 shares, we're getting 5-to-1 on our risk reward with these being realistic targets. And if that's 5-to-1, I might even move that back up to cover at least part of the position up here at that 100% extension of this run. But I'm only making $225 if that is in fact where I end up closing the trade, and I need to make 350. So for this account, I would have to pass. But if you have different goals in a different account or a different account size, any of those things might make this a reasonable trade for you. But again, only if it reacts the way we want it to. At this point, I think it is extended, and we need to see that bounce before we do anything going short here. I think it's too late to chase this thing short without some sort of a bounce. At least consolidation like this. Something. I see somebody typing, so I'll hold on here for a sec. The stock needs to rise 19%. I'm not sure what you're saying. I see 7%. You mean it needs to fall 19%? Is that what you're... again, I see 13%. I'm not sure. Can you explain that, Flash, what you mean? Again, we're talking about a short here. While he's typing that out, if anybody else has another ticker they want to look at, feel free to post it. Otherwise, I will just pick up a couple charts that I liked or I pulled out here. No, sir. If I did, I misspoke. What I was saying is here, we're right here now at what, 1458. I've got to see some rise because we are extended here, in my opinion. I want to see some rise. This level here at 1575, 1576, was drawn off of maybe the weekly? Yeah, off the weekly level. That's where I got that potential support resistance level. So going back to the daily, I want to see something to come back in towards testing that or testing this level right here, which is a 38.2 extension here. So I want to see us to come back up and retest, relieve some of the extension of this short. And so I want to see it come back up. You know, that's 5%. That's 7.5%. So I want to see it to come back up 5, 6, 7%, and then fail. And that's where I can say I've got proven resistance above to protect my stop. I still have a tight stop to entry, which gives me a good reward to risk. So that's what I was saying. So if I draw it, I'm looking for price to come up like this and then start back down, and I'm looking to enter right in here after that bounce down off of the ceiling. The high of July. Wow. You were drawing, maybe that's July. Yeah, okay, so August 1st, July, whatever. Okay, if that's, you know, if you've got a different way of drawing fibs, I'm not here to talk about fibs tonight. So that's how I would plan it. Again, you know, these are just examples, and what we're really here to talk about is the tool, Trader Vision. So, if you have other charts you want to look at, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to plow down through some that I've drawn up here. Seagate has been on a tear, consolidating the last week and a half, 2 weeks in a really tight consolidation box here. If I even draw clear to the highs and lows, even so, that's a 3.25% box for 2 weeks. That's pretty tight, particularly after that long run up. So I would be using fibs here. I think I went to weekly and drew my support and resistance off of weekly, and then I drew the fibs, and I've got a few areas where they converge. They seem to converge really tightly in here. That's at a 38.2 extension of this run. And that's probably going to be my target. So I'm waiting for a pop out of the box here and looking for an entry right along in there with a stop right around in here and a first target right up in there. Let's see what that would plan out for us. Okay, STX. They were late. The last one I have is July 25th on this one, so I would have to look that up at another source. I'm not going to do that right now, but that should be part of your process. You can see the tight consolidation we've had for the past couple weeks, and the tight consolidation, the pop out of the box we're setting up here. We've got 5 bullish factors, 1 bearish factor. Again, the overall market's recent short-term trend being the downside. Let's just plan this with 1 exit to see what it looks like for now, although this may be a longer-term hold type position. So let's say that we're going to have an entry about 61.40 and a stop about 59.20 and a first target 66.70. Uh, 50 shares is going to be too much for this account, but let's try 40. Okay, if I could live with 40 shares, I would be risking $88 to make 212. So again, I'm getting 2.4 to 1, only getting $212 on this trade with that target. So I either have to say, is this a reasonable target? And I think it is, based on weekly support and resistance as well as the fib projection of this strong run. I'm probably going to be looking at maybe an options trade here to make that work. But if you have different goals, a different size account that allow you to buy more shares or whatever, that might work for you. So again, STX looks like one that I like the chart. You might even be able to say this box is a little tighter and get an even closer entry there. Don't let me monopolize, guys. If you've got tickers to look at or you have questions, let them go. This is your time. I'm just here doing some demonstration for you, but I want to answer your questions. So if you have questions, shoot. Planet Fitness is doing a nice little pullback and maybe has turned the bottom here. Don't have a signal, but I like the action here. Yeah, we're at all-time highs, so that fib run is going to have to be the best I can do. If I got a signal tomorrow, so let's say I get a bull engulfing tomorrow, something like that, I would have the signal. I would have the pattern, the flag or PBO, J hook in progress, however you want to call it. And I could put a stop in really close down here with a buy in above here, just above these recent highs. And on a 23.6 pullback, my first target is going to be up here at the 38.2. And that's probably going to give us plenty of reward to risk, but let's just look to be sure. PLNT Roger, yes. When you short a stock, you're borrowing the stock from your broker and selling it, expecting it to fall. And then you buy the cover to exit the position. Both the symbol and the market biases are bearish type indicators. I don't find that terribly troubling because that's a pullback is what I'm trading here, a flag type breakout. I do have the the bullish pullback, but it's not excellent. But let's look at what the trade plans out like here, with a stop of, let's call it 37.65, and an entry of 38.95, and a first target up here at 44.20. Again, small account, let's say 40 shares. Let's see what that does for us. 3% of the account. Maybe I'm willing to risk a little bit more. At 50 shares, I'm only risking 65 bucks. And with just one target, I'm looking at a potential gain of 262.5 bucks, which gives me 4-to-1, which is an excellent reward to risk ratio. But again, it's all dependent on having that signal to give me the buy. I don't want to just buy off these dojis, these indecisive candles down here. I love to see them on the pullback, that we get indecisive as the pullback proceeds. That's what I'm looking for. That's the precursor to a turnaround. But I want to see that signal for me to get in there. Let's draw it like this. I want to see something right up above those highs for my entry. Roger, did I answer your question? Does everybody see how Trader Vision is working here? And do you have any questions about it? Okay. Okay, I'll just keep going here for a little while. Shutterfly is another pop out of the box type setup after a strong bullish run. I had entered this back a ways, but let's just look at it as if it was new. Very similar to the last one, although the candles are more bullish here today, or I mean more bearish today, but very similar to the other one. I would be looking for this consolidation to resolve by a pop out on the bullish side. Doggone it. And I believe these were fibs that I may have drawn this as. Let's look at it full screen and see if I can't figure out what we did. Yeah, we're at all-time highs. So this would draw the fibs about like that, and that is just less than the 38.2, so it would be over in here someplace, but I would draw one there and have another target out here at the 61.8% extension. So let's add another trade here. SFLY. Reported in January, so it's probably going to report the end of April. Four to 2, that's not a bad thing because we have that tight consolidation. It's just trending a tad bearish the last several days. Try that again. $93.40, 97.75. Okay, 40 shares it says we can buy. I still think that's too much for this account. 30 shares gives me 5%, but just for argument's sake, let's say I could trade this. At that first target, I'm getting over 2 to 1. I'm getting 2.3, 2.4 to 1. Not making much money though, with only 30 shares total. At that second target, then we're getting over 3 to 1. But again, total profit here is $269. I'm looking for 350. If 269 works for you, and you can handle a large size position, in this case it's $2,600 position, maybe it works for you. Okay guys, we've been through, I don't know, 5, maybe 6 different positions. Do you guys have any other questions that you want me to cover tonight? I'm not seeing a lot of thinking here. Maybe people are trying to work while they're eating supper or something. Nothing. Okay. Well, I'll plan one more trade and then we'll call it a night. So let's look at, well, TDC is too much like the last one. Here's a smaller dollar one. So Southwestern Energy, it's one of the oils. We've got a Trader's Best Friend type candle here today. For those of you who don't know, this is it here. Those two signals, a doji type or spinning top type candle within a gap up and a strong bullish candle following it. And it broke through a resistance level that probably goes back, yeah, off the weekly, back into 216 or 2016 or maybe later. Maybe this was monthly. Yeah, okay, so probably drawn off there. This is not a tremendously strong level. So that's what we've broken through. I would be looking for an entry on a retest, so I'd like to see it bounce down off of here and come back up. So something like that. Probably after the bounce I can create that, assume that is support, and put my stop in close below it. And my first target's going to be up in here, kind of off of this previous support, which will now be resistance. And if I put a second target, it's going to be up in here, kind of off these highs, these lows, these highs and lows, and so forth. So let's see what that plans out like. And reported March 1st, so we're good until beginning of June. And let's do one entry and two exits here with an entry about, let's call it, 455. And a stop about 440. And a first target about 510. And a second target up here about 550. So it says we can do 800 shares. I know that's too much for this account. Let's try 500 shares. Okay, that's probably big, but let's just say we can do it for now. If we sell half of it at that first target, we're only making $100, but we're getting over 3.5 to 1. If we sell the rest of it at that second target, and we're getting 5 to 1, and we would in fact make our trade goal. So it's really going to come down to whether or not we believe that trend is valid or not, and whether it will get up to this second level, second target. So it's possible, but it's more of a stretch. It's a positive trade to here. If I sold all 500 shares at that first target, I should make about $200. And well, no, I make $275 at that first target. So, you know, it's not terrible, but it doesn't quite meet the goals for this account. And you want to look at a short on QTNT. Okay, I'm on a daily here. I'm not even on a weekly, but we can see that we've got a whole bunch of bodies and wicks that touch in this area. Again, it should be drawn with a fat crayon. Probably some more in this area. Again, draw it with a fat crayon. Let's go to the weekly to make it a little less noisy. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with where that was dropped. Pretty happy with where that was dropped. Might drop another one in there someplace. So let's go back to a daily. Did I change charts? What happened? QTNT? I don't think all the lines are showing up here, but when I change time frames. I guess the first thing that I would ask, maybe I just come up into here. Do you really think this is a short, Kathy? We had two down days. And then today we had a little bit of a rally back up. I suppose that might be a little support there. To me, this does not look like a bear setup the market's bullish, the stock's trend is bullish. If you draw this trend very tight like they have here, you could say, well, it's broken trend, and they think that's close enough to an evening star signal to call it that, and we got follow through the next day. And if that's what you're thinking, okay, fine. Whoops, wrong one, there we go. We'll say we ended up in here, and we're just getting a little bit better entry. So let's say that we're looking for an entry like this, and we think that this first line is not actually going to be support, that this second one is. I don't know that that's going to plan out well for us. We can draw it. Where are we going to put our stop? I guess we could say above these two wicks here. If we're using the V-stop, it's clear up here. Above this high, which is too far away. That would be 10-12% above our entry. So if we used a stop above these two highs, we can justify that, and we're comfortable with this first level, maybe even a second level there. Let's plan out what that would look like, because that's going to be about where the 200 is when we reach that level. Let's see what that trade would plan out like. QTNT short. It should report sometime in mid-May. For bullish indicators, the market, the symbol, and the moving averages, as well as the symbol bias up until those 2 bad days. So we don't have a lot showing for us in terms of a bearish position, but nonetheless, let's plan it out. Let's say that we've got an entry about 580. Oh, 585. Let's be creative. And a $6 stop with a 544. And then a 490. Set of targets. 800 shares it says we can do. I know that's way too much for a small account. Even 400 is too much. Wow. So if I can only do 200 shares, I'm getting only a $30 risk, but if I sold half of them at this first target, I'm only making 40 bucks. Well, I'm netting. And if I made that second target, I'm still getting 4.5 to 1, but my total take is only 136 bucks. I don't know that that's worth it to me. I don't see enough of a reason to short, and to me, I don't know that it's broken this uptrend. I don't know that I would draw it that tight. Maybe, but maybe not. That looks about the right there, and if we just move it down to the channel, it looks like it's still pretty close to holding. So to me, this hasn't broken the downtrend yet. Not quite. But that's how I would plan it out if I was planning it. I hope that helps. Okay, guys, we've been here 55 minutes. Any questions? If not, we're going to call it a night. Oh, you're welcome, Kathy. You're more than welcome. If you need to reach me, you can do so at that ed at tradervision2020.com or support at tradervision2020.com, or within the application, just click on Help, Support Ticket, and that will allow you to send me a form-based email. Again, remember, do those updates. So do that update like I did at the beginning of the session. Also, tomorrow night, 8 p.m., I'll be holding the monthly workshop. So if you can attend, great. If not, tonight's session and tomorrow's session, all my sessions, are available in the application under Help Tutorial Videos. I'll render this tonight and get it uploaded. It'll take me several hours to do so, but I'll get it done sometime tonight. Okay? So again, thank you so much for coming, and everybody have a great rest of your evening.